Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Star Wars The Acolyte star, Amanda Stenberg's been getting death threats. That's what she says. And apparently she welcomes criticism of the show. This is the woman that did like a hate twerk. Yeah, that's something I've just said. Because of criticism. So, nah, I'm not thinking you do welcome criticism, actually. I'm thinking that you are as soft and as brittle as dog shit on a hot day, I guess. Anyway, this is hilarious. Thought we'd take a look at this. Hit subscribe if you're new here and do turn those bell notifications on. Let's go! So, remember, will she be getting, let's think objectively. Will she be getting some death threats? Yeah, I'm sure she would. And that's not right. It's not okay. You don't even need me to say it. Like, any sane person is like, yeah, of course, no one deserves to die for, partaking in a piece of crap media. Like, obviously, that's bad. It goes without saying. But to hide behind that as the sort of majority, because that's what you're making out. You're making out that that's the majority of what you're getting. No. And, she's talking about like racism and stuff like this. The bar for racism is just merely commenting on it these days, as in, there's like no white men in this. What's going on? That they think is racist, which is not racist. So the bar for the sort of bar for entry, the barrier for entry of being called a racist is so very low. We can entertain that sort of comment from her, I guess, but it just makes her look like a moron. So anyway, let's take a look. So the Acolyte actress Amanda Stenberg, who plays twins Osha and May in the series, recently responded and condemned alleged intolerable racism and death threats she has received, while also claiming that she welcomes criticism of the show. You don't welcome criticism of the show. We've seen what you think of criticism of the show because you did a bizarre twerk. Anyway, so during an appearance on The View, so you know you're dealing with just exceptionally smart individuals, high intellectual prowess, which is broadcast on ABC, which is a Disney subsidiary like Lucasfilm and Star Wars. One of the show's hosts questioned and said, unfortunately, the success of the show has made you a target by some in the right wing for the inclusive casting, which is something Whoopi talks about all the time. For someone with such a happy sounding name, she is a miserable bitch, isn't she? Anyway, you have received horrific racist backlash, including threats and what you call intolerable racism. That is your quote. Can you talk about that a little bit and what that has been like? Press X to doubt. So Stenberg then says, yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you giving me the space to speak about it. That's when it's owned by Disney, but alright. It's been very painful to me. It's not something that I think you can emotionally prepare for. She then declared she and the show are open to criticism, says, we welcome criticism of the show when it comes to storytelling or performance, but when it comes to death threats, horrific, violent, racist language, you can't have violent language, okay, shut up, it's unacceptable to me. And I've had to think really deep and hard about when you display discipline and when you display honour. And I guess what I mean by that is, when do you decide to utilise discipline to not engage in a reactive way to hatred? And when do you decide to engage in honour by honouring your values and your belief system? In this case, I decided that was the most important thing to me, to be vocal, because I think that silence can send a message as well, and inaction can be very dangerous. What are you talking about? Seriously, what? So then, anyway, she then decided she's going to reference this piece of crap music video and the song she released to Instagram. And so, I dropped a diss track. I dropped a diss track about it, and it's called Discourse. And it really is about, of course, what I've been experiencing. But it's also about the divisiveness of the culture. The culture. What culture? And how difficult for all of us now to navigate information in this new era. So difficult to tell what is true, online. Is it? I mean, you just do a bit of research, but alright. And these online algorithms, they shape our realities. Yeah, if you're terminally online and our thinking and clickbait journalism, and these algorithms also profit from your rage and our hatred. And I feel like that's something we're aware of, but we don't necessarily have enough discourse or infrastructure around because it's so new. What are you talking about? infrastructure around people clicking on stuff. What are you talking about? So first, Stenberg has not shared any evidence of these death threats. No, she's not. Or the horrific, violent, racist language that she claims to have received. Like, look, I mean, undoubtedly she probably has. Right? Like, do racists exist? Yeah, of course. They always will. Like, you can't get around that in life. You just can't. There will always be buttholes in life, okay? You just genuinely can't do anything about it. It's unfortunate. But it's about trying to create stronger sort of mental fortitude and emotional resilience to get around that. That's the way you deal with people like that. You know, and then obviously if it's actually violent, you know, not words, but actual violence, then yeah, that's a different matter entirely. But you can't escape that. And that's unfortunate. You know, I don't think anyone should have racism thrown at them. I think that is, yeah, not good at all. But it does say here, second, the Walt Disney Company is engaging in inclusive casting, and it is rightly criticised for being discriminatory. So what that means is Disney is being racist in their own hiring practices. So in fact, America First Legal has filed an EEOC complaint against the Walt Disney Company that states Disney admits and affirms that it knowingly and intentionally uses race, colour, sex, or national origin as a motivating factor in its employment practices. Which is true, it does. It admits it itself. As far as the idea that the show is open to criticism seems to be a new narrative that Stenberg is spinning, the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland previously indicated that negative reviews from reviewers were review bombing and nobody takes them seriously. She says, oh yes, everybody knows what review bombing is like. Truly, when the show first came out, my publicist was like, okay, with the review. I was like, does anybody take that seriously anymore? Perhaps the average. I understand the point of it, which is that the average viewer would look at the site and say, oh, the user review is really low. But I think that if you're in the Star Wars fandom, I think you already know that review bombing is, or what review bombing is. So I guess if you're totally new to the fandom and you're considering watching the show, it could affect you. But I also think that my work in the past has been very word of mouth anyway, so I don't know if it... I think that because behind the scenes we all know what it is. It's not that it's concerning, but I think it's pretty expected, I would say. So I mean, it's not all review bombing though, is it? And at that point, when everything is labelled review bombing, what criticism are you listening to? Because according to you, everything is review bombing, therefore negates any form of your attention for criticism, right? You're just like, nah, not listening, which is dumb. So there you go. I don't have much else to say on this. I mean, this is a form of cry bullying from Amanda Stenberg here, I think. So leave your thoughts down below. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Turn those bell notifications on and support me further via Patreon because we do get demonetized here. So that would be great. It's the first link down below. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye now.